We're back.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. And recording is about to start. There we go. We are recording.
Okay.
So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I thank you so much, Brother Sargent, for joining me this evening and agreeing to do this whole process. So what we're doing this evening is just kind of 7 questions with a brother, trying to give people an opportunity to get to know other brothers at Alpha Rho Lambda here in the
Okay.
alumni chapter. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I am Thomas Teague Jr. I'm part of the training and development team with Alpha Rho Lambda, and also the correspondent secretary for Alpha Rho Lambda. But it's
Hmm.
not about me tonight. It's all about you, my good brother.
All
Uh,
right.
so let's go ahead and jump all off into it. And why don't we just start off with something easy? Just telling the brothers a little bit about yourself and when you became a brother of this great fraternity of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and just give some background about yourself.
Okay. Graduated, went to Penn State University, got my undergraduate degree in 1973. I went to work for General Electric at their corporate research and development center. And I was recruited there by a brother, Adron Butler. Back in the day, he was on the national committee for something. I forget because it's been so long ago. I became a brother in the fall semester of 1970.
All right.
There were 9 of us on the line. If, I don't know if you remember, but back in the 70s and that day, a lot of things went that don't go today.
That's
So
right.
I
That's
can't
right.
tell you what the name of my line was, but I'll give you the initials. We were
Okay.
the Mighty MFs. And
Oh man. Oh man.
yeah, hey, and that was tame for back then.
That was the nine mighty.
Yeah, the 9 Mighty MFs. Yeah. And anyway, I graduated from Penn State, started working for GE, got my master's degree in chemistry from Union College in Schenectady, New York.
All right.
Okay, I got married in 1978. We celebrated our 45th anniversary uh, January 14th. We went
Oh,
back to St. Croix,
ooh.
renewed our vows at the very church that we got married in.
Oh, fantastic. 45 years later, huh?
45 years later. It was my wife's idea. All I had to do was pay for it.
It just show up.
Yeah, definitely. But we had 17 members of the family and friends went. We're just starting getting photos back. We're hoping to get the guy who did the video back on so we can see that. Anyway, I worked for General Electric for approximately 18 years, and then we separated company, and I went to work for myself for a
Yeah.
couple of years. Then I moved from, oh yeah, started in Schenectady, moved to Syracuse, moved
Mm.
back to Schenectady, then went down to the Atlanta area working for an insurance company. Believe it or not, it was a little small insurance company, and the guy wanted to start a an industrial hygiene lab, and that's where I came in.
Okay.
And I was starting to do the work, and the man decided he wanted to retire,
Mm.
and none of his kids wanted the business. So to make it more attractive, he just did away with that project. And I was in Atlanta for a couple years hustling.
Yeah.
And then I got a job with Alabama Department of Industrial Hygiene
Okay.
in Montgomery, Alabama in 2004. And from 2004 till 2019, I worked there. And I retired because my wife wanted to move back north and be near the grandkids. And that's why we're in Columbus, Ohio. I have 3 children.
All right.
My son went to Ohio State. married a girl he met here, and they had one daughter together. She had a son from a previous marriage. I call him my grandson.
All right.
And good guy. He's now going to Ohio State.
Oh wow.
So what can I do? I can't get him to come over to the right side.
I was
But
going to ask you, how hard is it for you to be here, being a Nittany Lion, and being here, in the town of Scarlet and Gray.
well, it's been pretty good because Ohio State's been kicking our butt in football for the last couple of years, so I haven't had a chance to boast or anything like that. All I get is my son says, we got you again. We got you again.
Man, you let them hold that over your head, man.
Hey, it is what it is. I mean, it's a fact. They beat us 3 years in a row, so
Oh wow, yeah.
that's what it is. That's what it is.
Well, I'm glad. I'm
And
glad you're not a sore loser on it then.
oh no, no, no. I've been active in church for all my life. I'm
All right.
now a member of Shiloh. Hold on, is it Shiloh? That's my last church. I got to keep them straight. Second Baptist Church of
Okay.
in here, and Dr. Washington's the pastor. It's the oldest
Absolutely.
black church in the city, I do believe. 185 years they celebrated this last week. I mean, this last year.
Mm-hmm.
And because I moved here in 2019 and COVID started in 2020, I haven't been, the only active stuff I've been doing is the fraternity and church.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I was gonna
that's
say.
where I'm at now.
I was gonna
Big
say.
state.
I definitely knew you as a brother that was involved with the church, because when we were at the senior brothers day over at
Yeah.
the senior center. I mean, you stepped right on out there, man. You did your thing out there.
Yeah, I did my thing and forgot a couple words there. I embarrassed myself.
Nah,
I'm
you did.
glad nobody was taking a video, I hope.
Well, what I was gonna do is, as we got through with this, I was gonna merge some of that video into this
Oh,
video.
no, you didn't.
No, no, I'm just joking with you. I'm just
Oh,
joking
okay.
with you. No,
But
I'm just
no, but
joking with you.
anyway, yeah. My love is for I love to read.
Okay.
I love Black history,
All right.
and I've been reading more of what Black authors and white authors have been saying about our journey. And I agree with a lot of them because they all say, or most of them say, it's not up to Black people to stop racism
Mm,
because we're never, when we're around white folks, they act right,
that's
usually.
right.
But when
Yeah,
they're around themselves, somebody needs to step up and say something when they do what white folks do.
that's right. That's right. When they when
Yeah,
they go when they go left to center, huh?
sir.
Say when they go left to center, huh?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. And other than that, I've been up here. I'm, now that COVID's quote unquote over, but I still wear my mask, as you notice on Sat. On
That's
Sat,
right. That's
I
right.
was one of the few who still had it, but I'm not worried about COVID as much as I'm worried about the flu.
Yeah.
Because I've got two strikes. I'm over 50. I mean, I'm a senior citizen. I'm Black,
That's
and
right.
I have high blood pressure. So
You triple threat.
yeah, so with attending stuff like this, but on a health level, I mean, I just got to, I can't take the chance,
Right. No,
so
no.
that's
No,
where,
that's the no, and
yeah.
that's it, and then that's definitely a great way to be able to look at it as well too. So there's nothing wrong with that. When we start talking about the fraternity, and like you said, you was made at Penn State. You had an opportunity to be in Atlanta and also be in Alabama, and now up here in Ohio. Man, what's some of the things that you really have really enjoyed about being a part of the brotherhood?
Well, that's it. The brotherhood. You know, uh, my first graduate chapter was Beta Pi Lambda in Troy, New York. And
Okay.
if you remember your history, Joel Kelly was in that chapter. And when I was just got out of school, there were older brothers who knew Kelly,
Oh,
and
wow.
they were brothers with him when he was alive. One of the biggest things that we tried to do, and we did finally get it, was for the national to recognize and put a marker on his grave that showed that he was a jewel, a founder of AFIA. And like
Absolutely.
I said, those were fun years. Those were years before I got married. And I'll say coming out of college and joining the graduate chapter, I learned a lot about alpha and how alphas conduct business and how alphas
Absolutely.
can have fun, but they can be they're usually serious and go about the business, but they can have fun.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
they could have fun. And then after that, I went to Syracuse and was a member of the chapter there.
Mhm.
And let's see, from Syracuse, I went back to Schenectady, like I said.
Uh-huh.
But when I went down to Atlanta, I didn't have, I was doing so much, I didn't have time to
Hmm.
really get into the chapter. And there were 3 chapters down there. Okay. And I couldn't find, my kids were just starting to, they were little. I was doing dad things,
That's right.
and so I just couldn't get into it. And then when I moved to not Syracuse, Wilkes-Barre, I was working for RCA in
Okay.
Mountaintop, and there wasn't a chapter there. The closest chapter was Harrisburg, which was 90 miles to the south, or Binghamton, New York, which was 100 miles to the north.
Okay.
So there were about maybe 2 or 3 brothers in the area at the time. And we know we stayed together, but there was no formal chapter there. So,
You all look, no matter where you was at, whether if it was a chapter or brothers around, you
right.
always had the hood with you.
We always were together. And, we always reminisced about college days, which did swiftly pass.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And there were some fond memories, but there were some unfond memories, but
Yeah.
that's the way it was. That's just
That's
the way it was.
that's all
And
part of it.
I also, I've done a lot of tutoring. I've been always tutoring and trying to give back. There was when I first started working, there was an organization of Black engineers called PIMEG. Um, PIMEG, let's see, program to increase minority graduates
Hmm.
in engineering. Yeah. And I did a lot of tutoring there and, spread the word because, back then in the mid 70s, early 80s, there were not a lot of Black engineers. We were just trying to get started and get more people into college. And it was successful. We had our ups and downs, but mainly it was ups. And I continued the tutoring part wherever I went. And my wife reminded me today, as we went by the library, says, you need to go over to the library and see if they have a tutoring program, because that's where I was in Alabama, in Montgomery. The tutoring program was out of the library, and I did there. And
You still got a hankering. You still have a need to be able to participate in stuff like that.
yes, yes, yes. But now that I'm older, it's if it has to be more convenient, then I used to go out of the way, to do stuff. But now, but seeing that COVID's over, and I think things are going to start opening up again. I was thinking there used to be a program in the elementary schools that was the grandparents program. I don't know if they have it here, but that was in every place that I've been before, that certain elementary schools had, the grandparents would come in
Yeah.
and would
Yeah.
do their thing. Yeah. Because the parents
Absolutely. There's
work.
definitely some opportunities for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man, that's fantastic, man. I'm wondering when you made that comment about um, being a part of the project that got one of the jewels
Yeah.
recognize.
Yeah.
You know, I'm curious, man. Over the years, you know, some of the brothers that you had the opportunity to meet and be in contact with,
Hmm.
over the years, share with the brotherhood some of those brothers that's outstanding out there that you probably had the opportunity to come across.
Oh, yeah. I better go back and check my notes. I'm sort of a pack rat. I keep stuff, and my wife keeps saying, "You need to get 1980. What are you doing with this stuff?" Believe it or not, I still have tickets from our first sweetheart heart ball after we got married. Alpha Phi Alpha, the sweetheart ball. I still got that. You know. You know.
You serious, Pat? Ain't nothing wrong with that. You're supposed to have that stuff.
Yeah, hey, that's what I think. But my spouse has a different understanding of she's a pack rat in her way, and I do my thing. Yeah. And also, let me
So,
say, when I was in Montgomery, I didn't join the chapter there because they met on Monday night. And by that time, I was in an organization called Bible Study Fellowship. You might have heard of that. And I was one of the quote unquote officers because I was head of the children's program that they had there. And I was a leader there. And I just couldn't I just couldn't call up. I went to a couple meetings, but I never formally joined the chapter because I was one of those brothers who said, if I'm going to join, I'm going to be all in. I'm not going to just be a dues paying brother.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So when we start thinking about some other things that you gotten into, what's some hobbies? What's some things that you enjoy doing just for fun and for relaxation for yourself?
Okay. You know what? I would like to get back into skiing because when I was in Albany, Schenectady area, they had a lot of ski resorts up there. I was close to Vermont, Lake Placid, where they had the Olympics. When I was in Syracuse, I got into cross country skiing, and I almost got into what do you call that? Snow, where you got the big things on your feet, and you go, you're walking out in the snow. I forget what they call that stuff. Almost got into that because Syracuse gets a lot of snow, a lot more snow than we get here, you know. So, and another one is, like I said, reading. I used to be
Yeah.
heavy into gardening. I mean, I could grow vegetables left and right. And, but since I've been up here and I own the property here, we got trees, not enough direct sunlight, but I'm gonna have to get into something that doesn't need that much sunlight because I used I used to grow collard greens like crazy. And when
All
fall
right. All
came,
right.
I'd freeze them, of course, cook them and freeze them, throw them in the freezer because we always after we had the three kids and we moved to where did we get that? Wilkes-Barre. I got
Mm-hmm.
an upright freezer and I kept that full of stuff.
Well, man,
So
I'm
I
gonna tell you if you ever get to the point where you doing some serious gardening and you got some extra grub over there, please don't hesitate to shout out because we down to come over and pick some greens up now.
oh, that's what I said. Used to. I haven't found a spot on my property where I could grow them, but I'm thinking about now that I'm retired. My wife got one of those raised bed type things,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
she's into herbs and mints, you
Okay.
know, that type of seasoning. So I think, well, maybe I'll get one next year and see if I can grow some tomatoes or some okra or I know in my neighborhood I know there's some Africans. They're growing they grow the tallest corn I've ever seen.
Oh really?
Yeah, I mean it must be from Africa because it definitely ain't American corn
Well,
because
come on,
the
man. You got
stalk
you
hey the stalks are at least 12 feet high.
stop being funny, man, and just ask them about it.
You know
Come
that's
on,
what I'm gonna do. Hey,
we
that's
got
what
to
I'm
we
gonna
got
do
to know the
next
secrets.
year.
We got to know the secrets.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You said that reading is a big part of your life and that you really
Yes.
enjoy. What's some pieces out there, man, that you would recommend to some brothers for some
Well,
good
it
reads?
depends. See, I'm a sci-fi guy. Okay, if you are into sci-fi, then you probably know the classics. You know Asimov, you know Heinlein. I would also recommend Octavia Butler. She was a black sci-fi writer. She died about maybe 10 years ago, but she has a whole array of stuff that's over the top. And there was Samuel Delaney. He was a black author, and he had a whole bunch of sci-fi stuff going on. And believe it or not, Walter Mosley is a mystery writer, usually, but he has three sci-fi books, and they are over the top. They really make you think. So, and at one point, I was into Tom Clancy type stories. You know, the spies and the shoot 'em ups. I mean, the spy stuff, the SEAL stuff. You know, things like that. Those type of mysteries. But I've
Absolutely,
settled.
absolutely.
But I've settled down lately. You know, and through all this, I'm always reading religious books. You know, and I would recommend to anyone who's interested in eschatology, which I got into, which is the study of the end times. I would recommend that they get this book that came out in 1969 or 1968 called The Late Great Planet Earth. And it tells about all the signs that you need to see before Christ comes back. And they ain't all came, so I ain't worried. I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be here. Like I tell everybody, I'll be here unless Christ comes back. But if he
Hey,
don't, I'll go the way of all mankind, and y'all be singing the hymn over me.
well, look, I'm not looking forward to doing that no time soon. When you think, brother, you've been giving us some fantastic gems, man. When you think about, your life's work, being in
Yeah.
all these different cities, all over the nation, having the opportunity to be with different brothers.
Hmm.
I'm gonna throw this out there at you. What's been one of your biggest challenges or biggest hurdles that you had to overcome and fight back and now look at where you are now?
Uh, well, it's something that's common to all people who look like us in the workplace. I've always been in a position where I was either the only or there was two or three of us in organizations that were in the hundreds. So that has been one of my biggest obstacles uh, was dealing with subtle backstabbing, northern racism. So in the South, even when I was down there, at least white folks were still honest. If they didn't like, I just don't like you because you're black, you know.
Yeah,
But there were
yeah.
a lot of people who were down there who had quote unquote advanced and didn't use the direct uh, the direct way of doing it, but they had their subtle ways of, stabbing you in the back and trying to keep you quote unquote in your place.
In check, trying to keep you in
Yeah,
check.
even though
Okay.
I was the boss sometimes, but you know, white folks will be white folks. I'll say that.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. That's how look, they who they are, at least they are who we expect them to be.
Yeah, yes, and always when they say something crazy, believe them, they ain't kidding. They ain't kidding. They serious as a heart attack in old folks' home.
Say don't act surprised, huh?
Don't act surprised when you heard them say something, which they said they was kidding, and then they're doing that same thing for real. So,
Right.
and
Hey.
that's why I think I've always been in the church because you've got just like in the old days, when our ancestors could only be janitors, etc., like
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
But when they got to the church, they could, you know, they got together and they could, you know, help each other out. Yeah, I've been
Absolutely.
there. Yeah, don't worry. Hey, she crazy. We all know that. That's one of them crazy white folks. Don't worry about her. And encouragement, encouragement. You know.
When you think about, your time in the frat, you talk about your time, 45 years of marriage,
Mm-hmm.
kids and grandkids. When you
Yeah.
think back on what you've lived through, what would you tell a younger version of yourself? Say when you was thinking back what you've been through, what would you now tell yourself when you were 25 or 30 or 35 years old? What
Uh,
what good helpful hints or information would you be
I
able to
I
share with
would
yourself?
say stay optimistic
Mm.
because when you get old, you're going to be cynical. Reality, life is like the old folks used to say, just live, just live. And you will, or I'm at that point in my life where the stuff that I thought when I was 25, the country would be so far to equality. But now I look at it and it seems like history is repeating itself, and at least seems like 1876, that, the end of Reconstruction.
Yeah,
The black folks had advanced, but now the white folks is just everything that we've had, they're trying to take away
absolutely.
because they are now becoming, quote, they're going to be the largest minority in a couple of years.
That's right.
And they ain't going to like that.
No, no. They having
And
some troubles transitioning to that.
I would also tell them that continue to try to make America live up to the ideals of its Declaration of Independence and its Constitution. I know you're going to catch flack from that, but it's for our posterity, it's for our kids and our grandkids.
That's right.
We've got to keep fighting.
That's right. I like that. What would you say when you think about everything that you've been involved in? Because you've done a lot, man, and you've been a leader in a lot of places. Um, what do you use to continue to motivate yourself?
I would say it's my faith in God, okay, because I do strongly believe when the word says, I will never forsake you. When I'm in tough times, I just know that, God will bring me through because he has. I've been laid off at least 4 times in my life. I was sharing this with the brothers in BSF again last night because one of the questions asked, how do you know that God has seen you through? And I said, well, there was some white guys and another black guy. We do it on Zoom. We don't go. It's mostly older guys like me who don't like to drive at night no more. And I said, well, even though I've been laid off 4 times in my life, I never missed a meal and never missed a bill. So God has always provided me with something to do, or somebody came into my life and did something for me. So that's why I'm always a
Absolutely.
proponent of, I think the term is paying it forward now.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
absolutely. I like that. In the
yeah,
same, hey, look, in the same breath, though, how would you or how do you, when you choose to, motivate others? How would you like to motivate others?
I believe that you motivate someone by the life you live. And at this point in my life, sharing your life story one on one with people when you recognize that they need a friendly ear, or if somebody approaches you and asks you, well, like people are always asking us now, how did you survive 45 years? 30 years when we had our 30th, 20 years when we, how, if they were saying, how do you stay, what's the secret? And I always tell them, there is no secret. Each couple has to find their own way. And I always tell them, stay centered in God, because it's the triangle, equilateral triangle. I'm a science and a math guy. So you have the base of the triangle, and at the base of the triangle is your wife's on one side and I'm on the other side. And at the tip of the triangle is God. Nothing comes between you and God, not even your wife. But past that, nothing comes between you and your wife. Now, has it always been easy? You know better, because you know better. So you have to find, I think one of the things that I read when I was younger, don't go to sleep mad at each other.
Mm-hmm.
So if you got to stay up all night to get it right, which we have, do
Yeah.
it. Do it. Don't let it fester. Come to some time of agreement, even if it's to agree to disagree.
That's good news. That's
So
good news.
that's why I, as I'm older, I try to check myself, and what I'm doing, because it's not just you now. You're quote. People look at you like I did when I tell people all the times. You remember the old folks in church? And they say, yeah. And I say, well, we now the old folks. So we got to check.
You
Because
got you
as a
got your you got
kid
your
and
you got your
growing
pew
up,
you got your
you
pew you
admired the
sit down.
old folks, because they had been through. But now we the old folks. And I said, man, I don't know how they did it. But we got to set the example.
Absolutely, absolutely. You got your pew now, huh? Don't you sit in my pew.
Sound like you've been in some Baptist churches where somebody's sitting in their seat, they stand there and look at you.
They sit there like, don't you see my name on the end of that bench?
Yeah, I try.
Oh.
Hey, I tried to not do that. Wherever I sit, I can sit. Don't make no difference nowadays.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let me give you one to ponder on for a second, and I'm sure people may have asked you this before, but when you think about your life, you think about how you lived and the example you've been. What would you really want your legacy to be, Brother Sargent?
My legacy, that's an easy one for me, because when I was younger, there was this brother. He wasn't an alpha, but he was a Christian brother. And I admired him. And everybody recognized him as a man of God. That is what I want my legacy to be. That when people saw me, they saw me as a man of God.
Absolutely. That's great news. That's great
Yeah.
news. So I have to ask this. I can't get off the phone, can't get off the call without truly asking you, especially as a great man of Alpha, what long lasting impact has being a brother of Alpha Phi Alpha had on you as a man in this journey of life?
You got 10 hours? Like I'll put it this way. Like I said, when I started in my career, an alpha brother got me my first job. An alpha brother guided me when I was young and thought I knew everything, but really didn't, especially in the corporate world. There's always been an older brother who has guided me through certain situations, how I need to act, how I need to present myself. When you're young, you're fashion. Yeah, you go with what the fad is. But in the business world back then, you better have on a tie and a white shirt and a suit jacket. See, I learned that always keep a suit jacket at your desk or in your cubicle because you don't know when you're going to be called. And if when we got to casual, I always keep a tie in that jacket and a white shirt close in hand. And like the brotherhood has always guided and helped out. That's the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was the brotherhood to me is my networking. And every place that I've been, even when I wasn't in the chapter or there wasn't a chapter, the brothers, the two or three or four of us would always get together and reminisce and help each other, encourage each other out. And we really did believe that, the House of Alpha is still the greatest thing that, has ever happened. I say, an undergraduate,
Absolutely.
I'm glad I came this way because I was torn between that red and white group. But I ended up with the black and gold simply because, I told you what my line name was, but everybody on our line was either an engineering student,
Okay.
a science student, and we had one guy who wanted to be in law enforcement.
All
So
right.
we just naturally hung together. And, Brother Larry Fish, he was from my neck of the woods in Western Pennsylvania. He talked to my best friend, who was also an Alpha, who also pledged with me, but came from my hometown. And he sort of got us steered in the right direction. Black and gold was always better than that red and white. There was no way I was going to be a Q. They was crazy. And then as I learned, as we pledging and stuff, we learned that the Qs who couldn't make Alpha started the Qs. So they were always known as, they're the eternal Sphinxmen.
Hey, absolutely. That's just what it is.
Yeah, that's just what it is.
But it's like, but don't try to blame us for how y'all act.
That's right.
When you first said that you was chasing the red and white, I was like, okay, was your wife a Delta or what you?
Well, hey, my wife is a nun fine nun.
There you go. Nothing wrong
I
with
mean,
it.
she was invited to join Deltas in various places and AKAs, but she said, nah. I got kids. I got to raise these kids. I can't be doing this stuff. So she never she never went Greek. So
Hey, nothing wrong with. I'm glad that she didn't, in no way, shape, or form stop you from
no,
living your
in
dreams.
fact,
Though.
she encouraged everywhere I went. She encouraged me to join
Oh, really? Really?
yeah, to join the fraternity because she saw that black men have to get together. So you got to get up with some black men because everywhere we went until we went to Atlanta and Montgomery, it was predominantly white areas. And, we joined when the kids were younger, we joined Jack and Jill, such so that the kids could see what other black kids were doing. Because they were in schools where they were the only one or maybe four or five in the whole school. But we had to expose them to black culture, and it was the church and Jack and Jill with fraternity.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
Hey, look, leading them the right way.
yeah, you had to expose them to it.
That's right.
And I'm glad that we did, but they made their own choices when they got older. So that's all a parent wants to do is to get them prepared to be grown-ups.
And
And they
and
make
for them
their
to
own
be happy.
decisions, and we have to respect them.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna finish up and give you one last question to kind of chew on a little bit, and exactly.
As long as
And
it's not collard greens and cornbread with spare ribs on the side.
don't try to get out and give me some of them collard greens, man. Don't try to get out of that.
If I grow them, I'll make sure his brotherhood gets some.
That's right. When thinking about, keeping, a lot of times we think about, the end of a journey. We
Mm,
keep the end in mind when you think about things. We're trying to figure out, hey, what's the best way to do this or the best way to do that, and how we could be successful. But thinking about that, how would you, when it's all said and done for you, when we think about, your alpha plaque, being up, when it's all said and done, how would you want brothers to remember Brother Sargent?
oh, I'm trying to get to become more active.
Mm.
My thing is, when before here, Brothers Keeper wasn't a thing in the chapters I've been to. But I think Brothers Keeper, I want to be remembered as a Brothers Keeper. And that's why I'm in Brothers Keepers, because all the stuff that they say that we should be doing for our older brothers and the younger brothers, that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I want to
Yeah.
share with the younger brothers, but I also want to help out the older brothers who, can't do. I mean, I'm 70 plus, but there's brothers
Mm-hmm.
80 and 90, that,
Yeah.
and there's brothers, families where they have this bit, they've passed on to a mega chapter that we should still be looking out for those families. That's what I want to, that's what I want to do, really get into Brothers Keepers and, do the things that they're, what they're doing.
Absolutely. That's fantastic,
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah. I want to be known as a Brothers Keeper.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. And hey, brother, and I know from the time that I've known you here in the chapter, I have to tell you, man, I enjoy so much when we get together for those
Yeah.
breakfasts and get a chance to be around you, man.
Yeah.
It's just exciting, man, and it just feels good. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that I've had the opportunity
Yeah.
to get to know you more, and I'm glad that the brotherhood, after seeing this video, they're gonna have the opportunity to get to know
Yeah.
you more, and they're gonna be coming up to you, and they're gonna be asking for collard greens too.
Oh, hey, we got almost 200 members in the chapter. I need some acres to grow enough to get enough collard greens for everybody to get a little taste.
Hey, I'm just gonna go ahead and speak it right now. You probably about to be the inaugural member of the Alpha Gardens group.
You know what? That is something that I'm not familiar with the area, but
Mm-hmm.
when I was in Schenectady,
Uh-huh.
the city had gotten some land, and
Yeah.
they said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to give everybody, I think it was a 40 by 40-foot plot that you can garden and raise and do what you want. And they would sometimes give you fertilizer. You got to get your own seeds because they weren't giving out collard greens up there. They might give you some tomato plants and maybe a few kernels of corn, but they wouldn't give you no okra or collard greens, or some folks like mustards and turnips, but I'm a collard green fan. But anyway, I know that Second Baptist at one time before COVID hit, they have
Mm-hmm.
a community garden.
Yeah.
So, and there's a community garden down by this is that Livingston. What's the Urban League?
Yep.
Down that area, there's a community garden there.
Hey, well, got something else to be able to keep dreaming of.
Yeah, I tell you, hey, there's probably some brothers who are in the city government or state government that probably might know some place where they do have might have a community garden. We might get together and get our hands dirty,
That's
you
right.
know, shovel some manure and some peat moss and some mulch.
It might be time to bring some brothers together to do something like that.
Yeah, yeah, and you get your collard green. I know, and I know we got some brothers who can make some gumbo. So they like fresh. They
Ooh,
like some fresh okra.
you starting something now. You starting
Hold it
something.
now. I didn't mean to start. Hey, cut that out of there. Cut
Oh
that
man,
out of there.
it's all
Fish
good.
and grits. We can do something like that, and
That's right.
we could have. I remember at one of our churches when I was in Atlanta for Men's Day, they had gotten to they had done it so often they would have the men would have a on Friday night they would have a taste. It was called the Taste of Friendship. Okay, and it had gotten so it had started to get a little too competitive among the brothers about what they was cooking and making and stuff. But the sisters loved it.
Oh, absolutely. And and it's been some activities here in the city before. Some taste of Columbus or some taste of this and
Yeah,
taste of that.
yeah.
Some people done. You done threw that out there. That might be something we might have to consider doing.
Or participating in. Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, man, I'm glad that we got a chance to chop it up
Oh,
this evening.
hold it. One more thing I got to tell
Okay,
the
go ahead.
brothers.
I ain't gonna cut you off. Go ahead, brother.
Uh, Me and my wife both have West Indian descendants. She was born in Antigua
Oh,
and reared in St. Croix. My grandmother's from the Bahamas. So we have West Indian in us. So I'm sure that Columbus probably has a West Indian society or Caribbean society or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
But there's a lot of Caribbean and African restaurants around. So we've been
absolutely.
seeing that COVID is quote unquote we can go out to eat where it's safe now.
That's right. So
we,
when
we can
so
do
so
that.
so when my wife and I go to back to the Bahamas, or when we dive into Antigua, we can say your name and get some preferential treatment.
Well, don't say my name. Say Adams. That's my wife's maiden name. And the islands are so small that somebody will know. Oh, Brother Adams. Yeah, I remember him.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
Hey,
definitely.
long as your name is strong, I'll make sure I'll say it loud when I get there.
All right. But remember, it's Adams, not
It's
Sargent.
Adams.
It's
I know
Adams,
that. I
her
know
side
that's
of the
right.
family.
Say keep it clean, huh? Keep it
Yeah,
clean.
keep it clean. They want Sergeant. Who that?
I get it.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm so glad we got a chance to chop it up like this, man. And I'm looking forward
Yeah.
for the next time that we'll all be able to get together. Man, you're healthy, you're safe, you're strong, and I'm
Yeah, I'm
glad. And
still healthy. Oh, that's another one of my hobbies. I work out now, or not now. I've worked out all my life, but seeing that the Y opened, after they closed down all the gyms and stuff like that,
yeah,
and now that I'm a senior citizen and I, I can get into the Y for free.
can you get a couple of brothers on your membership? Can we tag in on your member? Can you put us down as family members? Just slip us one of them cards. You know they say we all look alike.
Hey, that's true. But the problem is the Y I go to. They got brothers and sisters in the front on the front desk.
Look,
They didn't when I first started, but they do now, and they
look,
all know me.
they're not gonna say nothing. They're not gonna say nothing. We're not messing up their check.
That's right. Yeah, we ain't gonna mess up the check. That's right. That's right. That's right.
All right, my good brother.
Okay.
It's so good to talk to you.
And my advice also is go to the doctor. I think we have. Well, let's see. What is it called? The chapter has
Health and
something
Wellness
about.
Committee. The Health and
Yeah,
Wellness Committee.
the wellness committee. Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, brothers, go see the doctor every
yeah,
year, at least one. I don't care how young you is,
yeah,
because if you catch it early, because we gonna get it.
yeah.
you know,
And
because
tell them don't let not having no insurance stop you from going to the doctor.
right, because I've been through prostate cancer,
Okay.
and thank God they caught it early. You know, and the only reason why they caught it is because I had been going to the doctor for 10 years in a row, and my PSA was below, way low. But then it started going up, and it was still below what they considered bad, but it started shooting up. So
Absolutely.
they said, you need to be tested. So I got tested, and hey, it wasn't fun.
but look at you now.
But they caught it, and we got rid of it.
That's right.
Yep. And you brothers who are in your 30s, go get your first colonoscopy.
There you go.
Yeah.
They sure can. I'm past that first and second quarter. I'm in the third quarter of life now, so I'm right on target with. I know.
So you've had a couple of those, and I just hope that they would invent something that wouldn't be so bad.
Look, we all in the club.
Yeah. Okay, my brother. Like you said, it's good talking to you, and
Absolutely.
I'm gonna try to get more involved.
There we go. We're gonna keep encouraging you, and believe you me, after brothers see that, they gonna be looking for you.
Yeah. Hey, brother Colonel already got me.
Hey, and that's a good one to be with.
That's right. Yeah.
Look, the Colonel with the Sergeant.
There you go. I always know who's my commanding officer.
There you go.
There you go.
06, my good brother.
Okay, 06 to you. All right, brother. It's been good talking to you.
Absolutely. Bye now.
All right. Over and out.
Over and out.
All right. Let me see how do I get out of here. In the meeting, I can't find out which button to push. I'm over 70. Thank you.